right, first of all, we're going to go over the landmark notes that are very good markers for understanding where things are. Between the grand staff, well, in the middle of the grand staff, between the treble staff and the bass staff, you have middle C on that ledger line. The bass clef has two dots, and those two dots surround the line that is F. So that's the F below middle C. The treble clef curls around the line that is G. So let me spread these out a little bit. So, and we'll go over these with the keyboard as well. So middle C is on this ledger line. G is the line that has the curlicue of the treble clef around it. And F is the line that has the two dots. Now I'll have to use the smaller notes to do this. We can find, well, let's see now. We can find a few different C's. Right. Let's do this. No, that's not going to work. Those are too big. All right, so we can do 4 C's with this. There's a fifth one that has ledger lines. But there's the C, which I call treble C. That's the octave above middle C. And then if you can picture 2 ledger lines with a note head on it, one here and one through that note, that's high C. And then you can have bass C, which is an octave below middle C or a fourth below bass F. Treble C is a fourth above treble G. And then if you can imagine 2 ledger lines below the staff and a note head on the lowest one, line, that would be low C. In other words, here comes Muffy, be ready. This is going to be C4, C3, C2, C4, C5, C6. This is F3 and G4. Now we can find 5 Fs. Maybe we can find 5 Fs. Let's see if we can find 5 Fs. So here's the F above middle C. And there's Muffy traveling along over to the window. And an octave above that is this F right here. Then from that bass F, we can find an F an octave below that, and that's that one there. So we can find 4 octaves easily on the staff before we have to deal with ledger lines. So that's F3, F4, and F5. This is F2. We can find a bunch of G's. This G is an octave higher than that. This is the G right above F. And this is the G right above that F. So we found 5 C's, 4 F's, 4 G's. Now, on the keyboard, I'm going to show you all the D's. So let's go ahead and find some D's here. Here's the D above middle C. Here's the D an octave above that. Here's the D. An octave below that one is this D. And this one would be a ledger line note, and since I don't have, I might be able to do that. Ponder the options here. One ledger line below the bass staff can put a D below that line. If we had 2 ledger lines here, we could put that note on the second ledger line. So there'd be a ledger line through this note, and there'd be one right there. And then here's D. So I can get 4 D's there. And then also on the keyboard, I'm going to show you the B's. So if I switch out this middle C for a smaller one, I'll have room. Here's middle C on the line, and here's the B next to it. That would be if you were writing it in the treble clef. But if you're writing in the bass clef or staff, you'd put it right there. But those are the same B's on the piano keyboard. This one is written in the treble staff below middle C, and this is what is written on the bass staff. Here's the B above that. And if I get this here, these don't really like to come up. 2 ledger lines. Here's that C, and you could put a B on this ledger line. You wouldn't need the 2 ledger lines to show that B. And so that's an octave above that, that's an octave above that, and that's an octave above that. And oh, I could do this. No, I can't. It doesn't work so well. So that one I really can't do anything about. There would be a B below this if I had 2 ledger lines here, but this is too big. So that sort of is what it is, and now I'm going to go make a video by the piano keyboard.